This story begins in 1984 Nova Scotia, Canada in two isolated shacks. An evil had gone unnoticed for generations. These shacks had no running water and children were sharing mattresses on the floor. 20 people were crammed in these two shacks. They were a poor family that lived on welfare and disability. The outside world would soon learn about this family from a 14-year-old girl who came to her teacher sobbing and said she was treated as her dad's wife and was essayed up to 14 times a month by him from the age of 9. And he was even trying to get her pregnant. The Goler family would soon be known as one of the world's most inbred families, and that the family tree basically just had one branch. Come join me in the Murder She Shed as we discuss this story of true horror. My name is Holly, and this is the place we discuss true crime stories that are rarely heard. Now, before we begin, I will let you touch my subscribe button. Go ahead, touch it. I won't tell anyone. It's so much fun to joke around, but I do want you to smash my subscribe button. Yeah, my subscribe button only. Stick with that. But I must give a warning, this case does involve essay of children. It is a case straight out of Deliverance and the Hills Have Eyes movies. So viewer discretion is advised, most definitely. Now let's begin. The 14-year-old girl crying to the teacher is Sandra Goler, and her father, William Goler, is the clan leader of the Goler family. Sandra has two sisters, Donna and Lisa. Donna had started getting essayed when she was only 5. Lisa just turned 7 and started getting her daddy's attention on her, something you did not want, because this daddy didn't give nice kind of attention at all. The girl's mom had left her daddy when he took another woman in his bed, and she refused the threesome he offered. How extremely generous of him. How could she refuse when he probably stunk like a sow pig? Sorry, that's the way I feel right now. The mood that's happening right now. This is the mood you're hearing right now. Authorities took Sandra that night to social services, but they were unable to get Donna and Lisa until they returned to school the next day, where the sisters hesitantly admitted to their essay too. The sisters would tell authorities that their father, William, would also essay his nieces and nephews. It soon became known that the whole Goler family was involved. The patriarchs of the family was Charles and Stella, basically the ma and pa to all of them. Or ma, yeah, it could have been the ma, pa, could have been the grandma and grandpa. It could have been their dad and their grandma. They just like to intermix like that. You don't know what they were. Really, they might not even have known who was their mom and daddy. That's like you say, who's your daddy? Well, you really don't know in this case. Sad but true. The couple had 5 sons and lots of grandchildren. Wives and girlfriends were passed back and forth, and they were often the male Goler sisters or daughters. Children were preyed on as young as 5 years old. The Goler men did not care about gender either. They were just as happy to have a boy. They also said they preferred, maybe you should, if you don't want to hear this part, you should just plug them ears up and I'll say it. Well, let's just be big boys and girls and just say this. They were just as happy to have boys, as I said. They also said they preferred ANAL on both genders. William was the first to be arrested. When William brothers were brought in for questioning, they readily admitted the incest, but due to interfamilial relationships that occurred for generations, they did not seem to think it was wrong. They had been done the same way as a child too. They told the authorities that it was the children's fault because they wanted it and stated the children had begged for it. There was one woman that was arrested for essaying the children too, and it was Wanda, the woman that had ran off Sandra, Donna's, and Lisa's mom by sleeping with their daddy. It would later come out that a couple of the other women in the family were involved too. One of the uncles, William's brother, Cranswick, would force some children to watch as he would essay a child. The children would say Cranswick was the cruelest of all the Goler men, which makes sense when you got a name like wick on the end, that you're wicked. He was very wicked indeed. Cranswick would also enjoy watching Wanda essay the kids. Cranswick would boast about how he had every children, even the smaller ones, like it made him a big man or something. The Goler family lived in filth. They would throw trash in their yard, house, or wherever they happened to be at the time. They would use the bathroom in a bucket in the house and even throw their monthly things in the bucket. And the children had to clean it out occasionally. I don't guess they cleaned it out all the time, but children were forced to throw the woman's monthly stuff along with everything else that was in that bucket out. Oh, so disturbing. Can you imagine the smell? The family was unclean because of lack of water, and they lived in shacks that were falling apart with torn and tattered furniture. Their house smelled like a sewer. They ate by foraging for berries, hunting, and fishing, and like I said, also through welfare and disability checks. Due to inbreeding, they had physical and mental disabilities. Most of the Golers had below average IQs and had no idea why they were even going to jail. They didn't know what incest was and thought their lawyers were saying insect. A lot of the Golers only had about a 5th grade education. The community around Nova Scotia began calling them the Hillbilly SEX ring, mostly because during the trial, some of the children said William would line them up on a wall. When someone would visit, he would sell one of them for SEX in exchange for a case of beer or a carton of cigarettes, sometimes just a pack. The visitor would pick any child they would like. Although the family claimed they didn't know what they were doing to the children was wrong, while they essayed one of the children, they would often have another child stand guard to see if someone was coming. They also would bribe the children with candies and treats. A couple of the mothers were even essaying their own children. After the trial was over, Stella, the patriarch of the family, was built a new house by a government program. And after some of the sons got out of jail, they moved right into the house with her. Her husband, Charles, died in 1987. Donna, who had higher intelligence than most of the family, was able to give the most reliable testimony against the Goler clan. She has become an outspoken activist for stricter child abuse laws and for stronger protection of children from convicted child predators. She would later say about that house that Stella was given by the government. That's justice. We get RAP'd and they get a new house with toilet, heat, and water. Donna stated that some of the girls young as 11 years old had babies, but after they were born, a doctor who their dad had rented them to on occasion would come up and put ether over the baby's mouth and nose until it died. She said one time when they went to bury the baby, she woke up and the Golers just buried her alive. Some of the Golers were said to have stated that one child died after living part of his life tied to a tree at the Goler home. Now, I'm not sure how factual this is due to it being a story that was passed down, and I did read the book of the Golers. I think it's called On South Side Mountain. Donna stated that her family called her Poochie as a child because before she walked, her mother told her she had fell down the stairs as a child and broken her leg, leaving her crawling longer than usual and with an unusual crawl. They called her Poochie because the Goler adults said she looked like their dog, Sheba, when she crawled. Donna was always afraid of that dog and terrified the Goler men would make the dog mount her like they did Sandra when she was younger. After they did that to Sandra, they would just laugh and hoot. Donna also could see her sisters getting essayed through the window of the smaller shack by their father. Many of the Goler children had told people in the past about the incest that occurred on South Mountain. No one chose to do anything about it until a teacher finally decided to listen to a 14-year-old child. It was the 80s after all. People like to pretend those things didn't occur and hide the dirty stuff in a dark little corner. I should know. I was a teen in the 80s and you just didn't discuss this stuff. It was hidden. It's really sad, but probably a lot of kids, their abuse never came out. Ultimately, 16 adults would be charged with crimes and 13 would end up behind bars. William Goler was sent down for 7 years on 3 charges of incest, gross indecency, and buggery, while his wife Wanda was jailed for 4 years for carrying out SA on 8 children. I didn't even know this, and you might not either, but buggery is another word for SODOMY, word you can't say on YouTube. I had no clue what that was. I had to look it up, but then I was like, oh, understand, because that's what they said earlier in the book. Yeah. Many of the convicted Golers got out of prison and returned to the impoverished conditions, which ultimately caused the problem in the first place, with a complete lack of understanding of what was wrong or what needed to change. And in prison, I'm surprised they even survived, because a lot of them was beat up in prison. So I can't even believe they pulled through that. Some of the Golers still live on South Mountain, and some have changed their last name. Horrible, horrible story, I know. I didn't even go into full detail like I said. The book is much more graphic than I am telling you at all. I mean, if you can handle the details of the book, and it's definitely tough details to handle, you should check it out, I guess. Also, you could watch Human Monsters. He goes into very graphic details on this case and a lot of cases, because he is not a monetized channel, so he can do that, but he gets down to the gory details of this case. It was a little much for me. I just yeah, I heard as much as I wanted of this case, so I'm good. And I did it a lot more graphic than a lot of people do, but if you'll check out this actual Goler clan on YouTube, everybody else is just dances around it really. And I tried to go as much into it as I could without getting in trouble from YouTube. I may yet, who knows. I'm bad about opening my mouth when I shouldn't. Everybody knows that. All right, guys, if you enjoyed my telling of Rarely Told True Crime, then come join me by smashing that subscribe button and joining me usually 2 times weekly here at the Murder She Shed. I love y'all. Love y'all muchly. Bye. An evil had gone on begins in 1984 Nova Code. Touch my subscribe button. Go ahead, touch it. I won't tell anyone. Now, before we begin, I will let you touch my subscribe button. Go ahead, touch it. I won't tell no one. Not me. Between me and you. Did you do it? We can move on now. And our father, William Goler, that is a tongue twister. Goler. Lose my tongue for that one. Goler. Okay. Oh, SA is nieces and nephews. Some beach somewhere. I don't know where that came from. A child. The children would say Cranswick. They didn't know what incest was and thought their lawyers were saying insect. Can you imagine thinking you're going to jail for something you did to an insect? In that case, I'd have been in jail a long time ago, so that could occur. I'm going to be honest, I've smashed a few myself. House with heat and toilet. If there's eyes behind me, that reminds me the hills have eyes. I'm just hoping my she shed don't have eyes in a minute. They can stay out in the hills. I don't want none in here. My dogs are all in the house, not even protecting me. Horrible, horrible dogs. Sorry you didn't get to see Simon again. Maybe next time. He truly loves y'all. And he's sad. I'm sure he's sad as he lays on my warm couch. And he's got a new blanket he's laying on, so he probably don't want to get off of it. Lazy bum. One of my subscribers said I needed on my snack Christmas tree. It's got snacks on it. Well, you probably can't see it very good, but they said I needed Cheetos and Dr. Pepper since I love them so much. And anyway, she's like, just string some Cheetos together on a string. That's a lot of work. I don't know. My Cheetos would probably bust. I guess I'd have to use puffs probably for it to work. That'd be quite strange because I literally want to eat my tree. I'd be looking at my tree and thinking I needed a snack all the time. I mean, y'all would be like, what happened to all your little strands of Cheetos? And half of them would be gone on half the tree. Well, it'd either be, I could blame it on the dogs, I suppose. I could say the dogs ate it if it was on the lower half. So maybe I should just snack off the lower half if I do that. Me and my weird imagination. I should just stop now. Well, it is freaking cold out here in this she shed. I actually got just the light on my fireplace. I had to turn off the blower because it made too much noise. So I am really cold. So I'm going to go in and snuggle with all my little doggies. And I hope y'all have a great, blessed week. And I love y'all. Bye.